about your friendships. At least I know that one of your friends, my party leader, has taken a position on division of revenue.
Yes.
All those things you are saying, when you discuss with your party leader, what does he say about your views? Because at least mine is clear on how much money should come to the counties. I just want to know, what does he say about some of the things you're saying? And number two, we have had a conversation in this city about the money that is owed by national government institutions through unpaid rates to the Nairobi City County. Again, I want to understand, when you have those conversations with your party leader, who's the head of state, what is his position on these things? Or should we wait until your other friend becomes the head of state so that these things can be done?
I thought we were keen on institutionalizing the conversations rather than basing it on the friendship.
It's about the head of the African state.
On a more substantive issue, Governor has alluded to that in the history of devolution, I don't know whether within Nairobi City County or across the country, he has collected at 12.8 billion.
Yes.
In comparison to what? Because, you know, when he says what is the target and the revenue potential, I don't know whether Dahir, you can tell us what is the revenue potential, or Salat, who is here, the revenue potential of Nairobi City County, because what governor is collecting of 12.8 billion is that the auditor does not have the view of the system in itself. And maybe governor can be gracious as he is today and smiley today, is that he should tell us how much under Nairobi Metropolitan Services, and he cannot run away from this because he was the area senator, and then how much were they collecting comparison to 12.8 billion that we are talking about? Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, and I think, Governor, it's also fair when you congratulate yourself on 12.8, yes, that it needs to be against the potential of Nairobi City. You know, that then gives a better picture. But I just wanted to make brief responses, because really this was not a substantive conversation, but it's also important that when a governor comes to the Senate, we can find areas, and you can tell us how you want us to help you. Because ultimately, the 1.2 million you're collecting per hour sounds like a lot of money to some people. But for those of us who have looked at it holistically, it might not be sufficient to transform Nairobi. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Very good questions. Thank you, Senator Sifuna, Senator Cherargei, my immediate former good friend, but I really wish you can come back, and Senator Chairman.
Your immediate former friend.
Chair. The first question, the first point you've raised, is institutionalization of the relationship. Nairobi City County as a council used to actually lend money to even the national entities, you know, in the 60s and 70s. In fact, if you look at the history of the biggest infrastructural development of water systems, from 1904, Kikuyu Springs, 1928, Ruiru Dam, 1956, Sasumwa, and then to 94 to 97, Dakaine, which is 84% of our water, they were fully done by Nairobi City Council, you know, and that potential is there when there had been order. A lot of that got lost over time, which is what we're trying to restore. Section 6 of that Urban Areas and Cities Act then provides for you what we call an intergovernmental agreement of financing the capital, which is very different from the mistake of 187 of transfer of functions, which we would never do, we as Nairobi County, because even those that were transferred were not performed efficiently. There's a huge pending outstanding liability of around 16 billion that needs to be sorted out, and I'm glad we agreed with the Auditor General that all of those remain at the Executive Office of the President to solve, because it was a national intervention. You know, the Nairobians would possibly not have prioritized some of those things that they did and failed to pay, you know. And so we want to work on that agreement, and we're currently doing, in terms of certain things. And I'll give you an example. Street lighting is a function of the county government. Security is a national function. If the county government cannot have the lights lit, security is affected. Why is Nairobi power bill the bills that we have has a component of rural electrification. Yet we are performing a function that is really concurrent. And so there had been a special tariff set for lighting of the urban areas. I remember that had been negotiated. That will form part of this agreement. That yes, we will light all the streets in the city, but we will not pay as if we are selling electricity. It is not commercial, it is for security. And we want to do that. In fact, we are in talks to do another 100,000 street lights in the city. Currently we have 68,000. That agreement will look at infrastructure that is shared. For instance, and here I will come to you again for support. We have seen...
Maybe before you go there, so that intergovernmental agreement, does one exist?
No. That is we are currently working on. I gave an example of this past Monday with the Cabinet Secretary of Davis Chichir on how then they can finance that 4 billion. And we want to do it expedited because this December, we want people to come back from Christmas to new roads, We want to, like what we did outside here, just outside Bunge, you've seen the walkway in the garden. That was Nairobi County government, But we can replicate it all the way downtown. 1.3 billion is what is required for lower CBD, 759 for upper CBD. We've costed all of those, but we want that framework so that the national government can be allowed to chip in and for the county to chip in.
So there's never been any financing under that framework from the commencement of county governments?
Not a formal one.
So Nairobi has only relied on equitable share and on-source revenue.
And if you look at that 20 billion of on-source, vis-a-vis a wage bill of 18 billion. Yeah.
18 billion is your wage bill.
Thereabout,
you expect 22 billion from...
Not 22, 20.
20. So what comes from the consolidated fund will go to servicing salaries.
Only pay salaries. Everything you do in Nairobi, every road, every school, every child fed.
What's the amount you remain with for development? After doing your wages, after doing your assembly, after doing your operations, and how much goes into development?
It's less than 10 billion. I'll ask my CFO to look at it and I'll give you the specific number.
It's definitely much lower than 10 billion. Yeah. It's probably 5 billion. It's probably 5 billion because equitable share all gets swallowed by salaries. And then you have 12 billion on source revenue.
Then you have operations and maintenance.
So the assembly takes probably 2 billion.
Yep.
And then operations and maintenance, another 2-3 billion. You are remaining for development. You're remaining with the same amount of money available to Mandera for development.
Yeah,
to develop a city.
And that is a problem that we need to address because Nairobi is all of us. I mean, all of us are in Nairobi even now. And so that is something I want to come with a paper to the Senate and say, look, this is what the potential. By the way, I know you've asked your team. I don't even think the answer could be close to what the revenue potential of Nairobi is. And that is why I wanted to go to the specific streams, for you just to see a snapshot of what that potential could be.
Governor, you know where you will get stuck with that proposal. Because, again, you are preaching to the choir.
Yes.
From our perspective, even if you brought that paper tomorrow, I can assure you that the Senate will support you. But then you have other people who you have to talk to. And that is the question I was asking you. I mean, all these good things that you come and tell us here, do you also say them in those other spaces? And what is the sort of reaction? I'm
coming to your question. I was answering Senator the chair's question first on institutionalization. I'm coming to yours as well. So Chair.
Senator Dulo, you had an intervention?
Chair, I hope I'm not interfering with the...
No problem, Senator.
Yeah, I just wanted to know whether you have actually structured the infrastructures that you really feel that you should co-fund with the national government, because that is really very important. Thank you.
Yeah, which I think it's a valid question, because that 4 billion, what's the basis of the 4 billion?
Yeah.
And how do you cost it and say that this is what you need from the national government? And that's why it's important to institutionalize it.
Just very quickly on that one, we've actually tabulated, including specific interventions. If you look at upper CBD, 757 million, lower CBD, 1.3 billion, Ngara in that area, 89. And so I have the entire list,
Is it on roads? It's on what?
So that is, you have roads, you have certain bridges, you have the aspect of lighting, some of the areas.
BRT?
BRT Namata is a different discussion.
Which is
even at
under what? Namata?
Yeah. And at Namata, I'm the vice chair of the council. Namata was established by legal notice, looks at the metropolitan counties. The chair is the cabinet secretary for roads. The vice chair is the governor of Nairobi. One thing I'm happy about, because there are 5 lines of BRT, which really will sort out our transit problem. There's no other solution as we speak. I'll give an example of line 3. Line 3 of
sorry,
BRT.
how much is available to Namata as in terms of budget?
So each line is funded. Namata in itself only has support for the Thika Road line, which is $1 billion annually for I think 2 or 3 years. I'll get the specifics. But you look at line 3, 74 million euros being funded by the European Investment Bank. For like 2 years was stuck because of a cabinet memo. And I'm glad that our discussions with our friends has been able to unlock that. And it is scheduled for this cabinet that is coming. If you unlock that, then line 3, which is like a big line, Juja Road, Juja Road from Dandora where the station is to be put up, coming down to the CBD, up until Kenyatta, and eventually to Rongai, which is the heaviest trunk. If you look at the per person per hour load on that road, that eases a lot of this. There's work going on down here on the railway city, which would be one of the headquarters of mass transit. So a lot of the lines, we've just gotten funding now for Jogoo Road line from the Africa Development Bank. It was the only line that was not funded. So that one has gotten support for the Jogoo Road line to come. We have the Outer Ring Road line, which is being done. The first one that Kenyans will be able to see will be the Thika Road line.
So this is not coming from your equitable share on source revenue?
No, that is not from us.
So those are the additional financing arrangements that Nairobi has?
Yes. So that is an additional financing arrangement to the intergovernmental setup called Namata.
Governor, just for benefit, like that one on Thika Road, what is the scope of works? Because all we have seen built are things that look like bus stops. And I don't even remember the last time I saw any work, any activity going on there. Because a BRT cannot be money to paint a red line on one of our lanes.
What we used to call
What is the scope of works for that line on Thika Road?
And and I would actually invite that we, bring them to do a presentation. When I got in office, I asked the same. I said, BRT is not what the red lipstick in the middle of the road. And I was like, why would you put it in the middle? And these engineers took me through it. I went there at that time with the CS Kipchumba Murkomen. A lot of work has been done on the depot at Kasarani. So at Kasarani, there's a station. And that station is where all of the matatus coming from, Thika Road side, from Kasarani, Ngomongo area, all of that, then drop people who then get into the buses. A lot of the mechanics for the diesel engines were done. There is now work towards trying to do more electric. Those lines will be completely unavailable for private vehicles. And then what you see on the roads become the station. Now that was stalled because of the lack of financing, because that's a national government line. And this is really what we're pushing. So as you've said, institutionalizing and making sure that then Namata does its work, because some of these things you cannot do even close to an election. If I'm to veer off into a little bit of politics, you cannot do that. This is the time to do it. So I would ask, because this discussion is a very important discussion for the city. Nairobi is blessed with geography. You're in Dubai in 5 hours, you're in London in 8 hours, and then you're stuck here for 4 hours when you land. It does not make sense. We cannot leverage the geographical location we have. And so I would urge this committee to invite ourselves and Namata on the issue, or maybe the Roads and Transport Committee, on how we unlock those projects. But I'm happy that our interaction has been able to get us funding, even as a city. But that is why, again, you should help cities to be able to get funding directly. I've been able to secure $100 million for the next water connections for the city. But it is stuck in treasury. That is Northern Collector 2 and Maragua 4, toward 220 million liters. It's been stuck there for more than a year, because it's not their priority. But if counties had the leeway to be able to conclude such financing agreements based on their work, their balance sheets, we'd have seen a lot of progress. I'm glad we were not getting the 140 million extra, which is concluded from Northern Collector 1. Remember, Nairobi receives 525 million liters daily. We need 900. So we just bridged the deficit a bit by 140 million. Areas like Karen, like Reruta, Ngando, which had never been getting water. I know we'll commission soon the pipes at Embakasi Garrison going down into Mihango and Utawala. Will change lives of many Nairobians. Those who get water twice will get thrice. But Chair, coming back to...
Make it very brief. Senator Cherargei says we are now sounding like we are doing a State of the County address.
No,
so
just answering questions.
I'll give you about 3 minutes to wind up so that we come back to the agenda.
Chair, the Senator for Nairobi, my friend Senator Sifuna, has asked a critical question on the philosophy of devolution of certain individuals in our country. I want to say that never before has the capital gotten support in terms of sitting down together, thinking through the problems. I know that the support Governor Kidero didn't get, Governor Sonko didn't get, possibly didn't ask for, but he didn't get that. But the president has created an atmosphere where we can sit down and say, look, we need to sort out the city. If you look at the investment going into the river regeneration project, which is under a commission that we jointly set up. You know, we have representatives of Nairobi there. And recently Bishop Wanjiru went there.
Which someone was doing a comparative analysis talking about similar projects, but I think it was in London at the Thames.
Yeah.
It was headed by an engineer. Yours is headed by an evangelist.
Let me not say too much about the individual.
But you know, baptism happens around rivers, so you...
Oh my goodness. But if you look at that plan, and it will really excite you as a Nairobian, because you have an inverted city. The rivers were hidden. If you look at the 1926 master plan of the city and 48, the settlers wanted the higher areas. And so they created what they called a buffer zone, which became the slums. That's when there's floods. It's affecting Kibra, Mukuru, Madare, Huruma, all of those. Now that is going to change. But close to 70 billion shillings has been secured by the national government to support that work, plus what Nairobi Water is going to do. So, yes, the president is in full support to the capital. I think he said it as recently as Sunday. And this framework that we're working on with the Minister for Roads, that they would then inject, in the beginning 4 billion, the total cost is 11 billion, I think is an example of that kind of support. I can only speak about that kind of support to Nairobi because I can see it. And I feel it. You know, the number of, I think we're the only county that has had a joint cabinet meeting of my cabinet and the national government sitting across the table, the president chairing that side, the governor of Nairobi on this side, saying what do we need to do for the capital. Because you must realize, in as much as it says the capital city shall be governed like any other county, that because it's the seat of the national government, and also a diplomatic, this is the only UN headquarters in the global south, then special arrangements need to be done. So I hope I've answered Senator Sifuna in terms of the personal philosophy of the head of state when it comes to devolution in Nairobi County.
Senator Nyuka?
Governor, you sure you'll do those things?
Lazima work. We have to.
Okay, I'll check on you next year.
We have to do it because I'll come back to the people of Nairobi.
Well, for it to work, you need what we call means of implementation, and resources are extremely important, financial and human resource.
Yes.
Some of these things you're talking about, Nairobi River, you could be innovative and seek climate financing. You see, the definition of climate finance could include when you have to raise a bridge because there's rising water in the rivers. That qualifies for climate finance.
Yes.
And I think the team you assemble around you should not just be thinking of how to use Kanjos to collect more, but to look at some of those global funds that have been established.
I agree.
The Green Climate Fund, GCF, when we're in Baku, they're having quiet conversations. They are thinking of setting up their regional headquarters in Nairobi.
Wonderful.
The Global Center on Adaptation, during the Africa Climate Summit, they declared they're going to set up their headquarters in Nairobi. So Nairobi is not just a UN headquarter, but it could be the climate headquarter for this region.
For the world.
So those are innovative areas that you guys must think through. But please, our job is not just to fight with you over cents and coins in your revenue systems. Our job is to enable you to deliver, to put in place proper institutional framework for delivery. But if you squander the opportunity, then perhaps your 4 or 5 years will have the same report card as the one for Kananu, and as the one for Mutura, and as the one for Sonko, and as the one for Kidero.
Chair, I share in your skepticism, and I'm sure the governor knows me well to be a proper cynic. We don't like stories in Nairobi as well. We just want to see output. So you are saying the philosophy is positive from those heading the executive. I would expect that if that was the case, there are 100 million shillings million US dollars that is stuck in Nairobi in the treasury for the water project. He should be able to unlock it as head of state. The BRT at Thika Road, why is it stuck? Nothing is happening. The compensation for the people who are evicted for the Nairobi River, you're talking about billions of shillings. They were promised only, I think it was 10,000 shillings each. They have not seen that money. So in terms of output, Governor, which one of those things are you confident that you can deliver for the people of Nairobi before we go into the elections? Which one are you sure 100% that we will get to do? Can you at least promise us that that boulevard you are promising us along the river will be done before we go into the next elections? Because my job will be to remind you.
And I know you're good at reminding me.
Thank you.
Maybe Senator Cherargei, so that the governor responds and we move on.
While the governor has a good vision, also it is important that apart from river regeneration, the issue of infrastructure, there was a small matter of Wakulima market that he went ahead and gave problems to my friend then. So what are you doing about it? Because we saw a number of traders didn't want to be relocated to some Kangundo or somewhere. They wanted to be within CBD. And you know, and they are now back on the road. And Senator Sifuna would want to have fresh mboga for his ugali when he's having ugali within the CBD, because we don't want him to be traveling far outside the CBD. What are you doing about it?
Senator Dulo?
Chair, just a general comment to Senator Governor Sakaja. There was a proposal, you remember in the last Senate, that I don't know whether it was the current ML or Senator Gitura proposing that Nairobi County status should be removed. Now that you have a feel of Nairobi County, do you think it's worth moving that direction, or you still feel that Nairobi should remain a county? Thank you.
Chair, devolution is the greatest gift given to this country by the 2010 Constitution. 10% of our population is in Nairobi. It would be really wrong to deny them that gift. Many people have felt that when things are under the national government, they work better. I think the experiment that happened a few years ago shows the contrary. A question was asked on how much, Cherargei asked how much revenue NMS raised. The first year they did 8.9, then 10.5. Immediately we surpassed that. Despite them having the military, the guns, even the bombs, we were able to raise more without fighting the people, without even introducing a new revenue raising measure in this past financial year, but in digitizing fully. All our revenue streams are digitized, and making sure there's compliance and convenience. You know, somebody wants to pay for their single business, unified business permit from their shop in Kayore and print it for themselves and have an e-verification. And that is why we've been able to raise the highest amount and to have one license. You know, before they used to be 5-6 licenses. You're told first, come back to the county, you're told to go to 14th floor for advertising. You're told, now it is one license, you know, at our revamped customer service center, which you should visit, because the County Government Act asks all counties to have a customer service, a place where the first ones to set that up. So the notion, the idea that has always been there, which is an anti-devolution, sloganeering to paint counties as inefficient, is a lie. Assuming that there are angels in national government and demons in the counties is wrong. And they say give a dog a bad name and then you kill it. If you look at the efficiencies created by devolution, that lady in Mutuini, who knows that she can actually get, her representative there to sort out her medical issues. If you go to Udhiru Rudhimitu today in Nairobi, they have their first tarmac done by the county government. If you go to Njadaini in Zimmerman, they have never seen a project. They are seeing it now. Ruai, which is an eighth of the county, Ruai ward, it's probably, I think, a sixth to an eighth. It's the biggest ward. Today, the first tarmac being done, 147 million shillings worth, is being done by the county government of Nairobi. And so what happens in countries that have that dilemma is they move from their bustling economic capital to another part of the country and create a seat of national government. In Australia, they moved from Sydney and they went to Canberra and they formed the capital city. In the US, they moved that time either from New York or New Philadelphia to the District of Columbia, Washington, which has no senator. It just has a mayor, it has no governor, because it's the seat of the national government. Land was provided by Delaware and Virginia and the rest. If you go to Nigeria, they moved from Lagos and created Abuja as a seat of national government. And so if there's that idea, I think Isiolo would be good, Senator Dulo, because you're in the center of the country, geographical center. That is where the national government should move to. But Nairobians, born and raised here in this city, and those who've come, who we embrace, deserve devolution. Chair, the next question by Senator, by yourself. Thank you so much. That is the kind of thinking that I'm at. There is a lot that we can get from climate adaptation. The world has realized that the potential of Africa to sort out climate issues is real. In 1950, Europe's population was 22% of the world. Africa was 7%. Today, as we move to 2050, Europe is 7% and Africa has 25%, meaning 1 out of 4 people are going to be here and 65% will be in cities. And so by 2050, Nairobi will have 10.5 million people. If we don't do climate adaptation, and I'm with you because I know you chair the caucus on climate in Parliament, if I'm not wrong. I'm also the vice chair of C40 cities globally. I deputize the mayor of London. And through that, we've been able to now get support. For instance, solarization of our markets is being done by C40 cities. We are looking at how we can actually get carbon credits for some of our resources in Nairobi, including City Park, which is another issue where at that time of NMS, they created a fake title deed and moved City Park to the national government. Yet we hold the original title. City Park belongs to the people of Nairobi. KFS is there illegally. And these are things that we need, us to interact with the Senate. Right now it's before the Intergovernmental Technical Relations Committee to revert that back to the county. The same way we got back Uhuru Park, and we expect to get back Central Park when their contractor is finished this coming month. And so it is that innovative financing. I've had discussions with colleagues on the continent. The mayor of Cape Town, for instance, Jordan Hill-Lewis, did one of the most successful municipal bonds. We have the template to do it. We did an analysis of a green bond by FSD Africa, that what Nairobi can get. If you just remove that limitation in PFM regulations that pegs it on a percentage of on-source revenue, it cannot be a percentage of that. It must be how much in 10 years you'll get for sure, front-loading it, so that you can do that heavy infrastructural work, Chair. I think the final one was from Senator Gerard Gay about Wakulima market. And I'm sorry for whoever your friend you're referring to, I don't know, who ran into some headwinds. Chair, one of the things we said we will do is create order in this city, because the city needs order. We're building 20 markets. The markets that have excess people will have to work within their limits. It is true at that point, the political atmosphere had been muddied because we had agreed with the market traders. Someone was saying they introduced me to these people. The chairman of Wakulima Market is called Tony. He was my youth leader in TNA when I was the chairman. Yeah, we know these people. We speak to them. They want those efficiencies. Remember, less than 2 years ago, 52 women were killed in Londiani because of selling on the road. They were killed. Do we wait for an accident in Nairobi for us to relocate them, yet we've completed a market somewhere for wholesale? So we had agreed, and we will continue with that plan. And it is not to move the market. It was really expressed badly by, friends of Gerard Gay, as is claimed. We're not moving any market. The capacity of Wakulima was 97 trucks for wholesale. The 90th truck will go to Kangundo Road. The capacity of the traders was around, and today you'll find 300 trucks. The capacity for traders was less than 1,000. The 1,000 and first will go to Kangundo Road. We're building another market. We're redoing Toy Market. Mutuini Market right now, if you go, is moving very fast. And it is right on a bypass.
Yeah. Governor, just on that line, even as we sit here today, the traders who are trading outside Wakulima Market on the streets, they are there now. I've seen it with my own eyes today.
Yeah, and we'll
so what was the fuss all about? I mean, because the impression you gave us is that you had agreements with the traders to move to Kangundo Road. Why are they still there?
It's not the same traders. It's hawkers.
So, then what is the point of moving one person only to be replaced by another?
You have to keep doing it. On theory, Senator, it's good to say we've moved them. Every single day is an enforcement day. Every single day.
So, high work.
It must work.
Yeah, it is not.